Peter Rabbit 2, The Runaway. The film opens with the wedding of Thomas, Domhnall Gleeson, and Rose Byrne, with all their friends, human and animal, in attendance. Peter Rabbit, James Corden, tells Benjamin Bunny, Colin Moody, that he is totally fine with Thomas marrying until the priest mentions Thomas becoming like a father to the animals. Peter appears to go berserk and attacks Thomas, leading the other animals to attack the humans until Peter makes Thomas float away on balloons. This is, of course, in Peter's head, and he still accepts this new part of his life. After their honeymoon, Thomas helps as she works on her children's storybooks based on Peter and his friends. Peter is a bit dismayed to know that the books have portrayed him as naughty. Outside, he talks to a mouse friend who talks about his life as a married mouse with kids, and Peter doesn't want to think about Thomas and starting their own family without him. Then gets a letter in the mail from a publisher who wants to distribute her books. Thomas and take Peter, Benjamin, Flopsy, Margot, Robbie, Mopsy, Elizabeth Debicki, and Cottontail, Aimee Horne, to meet the publisher, Nigel Basil Jones, David Oyelowo. The other rabbits, barring a suspicious Cottontail, seem to like Nigel until he presents his marketing plan toward the rabbits, which paints Peter as a troublemaker. They even see a billboard for a potential Peter Rabbit movie, which makes him look outright villainous. Flopsy and Mopsy, meanwhile, don't like that people can't seem to tell them apart or always associate one with the other. A dismayed Peter walks away from the group and goes into town, where he meets an older rabbit named Barnabas, Lennie James. After getting into some more mischief, Barnabas recognizes Peter as the son of his old friend when they would swipe food from the McGregor farm. He is impressed with Peter's movements and skills, but they are unfortunately caught by animal catchers and taken to a pet pound. Starts to sign over the rights to her books to Nigel, although despite her request that the books not be turned into a gaudy hip cash grab property. With Benjamin looking right at the camera for this, it becomes apparent that this is Nigel's plan anyway, as he is known for turning simple concepts into something cool for a more commercial audience. Peter and Barnabas are taken in by a little girl named Amelia. After an afternoon spent being washed and roughly played with, the family steps out of the house, leaving Peter and Barnabas in a cage. Barnabas manages to free himself and Peter, so they go to raid the family's fridge with the help of Barnabas's crew, the mouse Samuel Whiskers, Rupert Degas, creepy cat Tom Kitten, Damon Harriman, and his sister Mittens, Haley Atwell. As they try to sneak the food out, Amelia's mother comes home with the intention of getting rid of the rabbits before her kids come home. The animals manage to run from her as she chases them into town, and they get away with their food into their hideout. Barnabas later takes Peter through the town as he talks about how his father used to steal for Peter and his sisters to keep their bellies full. Thomas and then find Peter and bring him home, while Barnabas returns to his hideout. The next morning, Thomas and take the rabbits outside to play by a field. Thomas tries rolling down the hill like the other rabbits, only to roll too fast and hurt himself. Peter tells Benjamin about Barnabas and convinces him and his sisters to join him in meeting the crew. Barnabas recognizes Peter's sisters and divulges to all of them his big plan. He and his crew want to rob from the farmer's market, with their big score being packs of dried fruit. Thomas and meet with Nigel again to go over designs for the rabbits. After already having them dressed up in contemporary clothes, one that says "Hype Beast," Nigel makes another suggestion that they be on a beach, despite Thomas disagreeing with the idea. He starts to realize that Nigel's idea are not in the best interests of B's work. He even later goes to confront Nigel himself in a boxing gym to express how he feels, with Nigel interpreting it as him speaking for B. She finds out and is unhappy with Thomas. The rabbits gather help from their animal friends, Mrs. Tiggy Winkle, Sia, Jeremy Fisher, also Domhnall Gleeson, Pygling Bland, Ewan Leslie, Felix Deer, Christian Gazel, and Tommy Brock, Sam Neill, to pull off their heist. The animals create distractions, even getting a girl named Sarah, Chikayasamara, whose family creates the dried fruit, distracted when the boy she has a crush on, whose family sells cheese wheels, is knocked over. The rabbit prepare the bins of dried fruit, but in the chaos, a cheese wheel rolls by and knocks over Thomas and his fruits that he was going to sell. After getting the dried fruits into their getaway truck, all the animals, including Benjamin and the sisters, are captured by the pet pound people. To Peter's dismay, it turns out Barnabas was always using him and his friends to keep the dried fruit for themselves. He even intentionally bumped into Peter in town after reading about him in his book, having spent a lot of time feeling angry that nobody wanted him because he was too old. Everyone is left to blame Peter for getting them into this mess, while he himself feels utterly terrible. Peter leaves Barnabas and goes to find Thomas, enlisting his help in recovering his friends. After hitting a snag with their truck, they go to Bee for help while she is in a meeting with Nigel and others from the publishing company. They want to put Peter and his friends in a ludicrous space adventure, which pushes Bee to realize that this is nothing like what she had in mind, and she pulls her stories from Nigel's company. After talking it out with Thomas, she agrees to help him and Peter recover all their friends. They go on over-the-top missions to find them, like swiping Benjamin off a boat, Jeremy Fisher from a school classroom, and skydiving to get the sisters. Peter, Benjamin, and the sisters then make one last stop at Barnabas's hideout. They take the dried fruit away from them, only for the crew to appear and capture Peter's family. They then turn the tables on them by having prepared for this, with the rabbits tying Barnabas and his crew to ropes so that they get pulled away when the nearby tailor shop owner leaves in his truck. They are all then captured by the Pet Pound people, putting Barnabas back where he once got away from. The rabbits then return all the dried fruit to Sarah and her family. The rabbits rejoin Thomas and Bee as they drive home, with Peter deciding to be more willing to listen to the ones that love him. Peter Rabbit is getting used to the idea of Thomas and Bee getting married. After Bee's storybooks on Peter and his animal friends and family become popular, a publisher named Nigel Basil Jones wants to sell Bee's books, but with tacky and hip redesigns. Peter is upset that he is viewed as a bad seed, so he leaves the group and teams up with a stray rabbit named Barnabas, who used to be friends with Peter's father. Together, they steal food from the home of a nasty woman with Barnabas's crew, and he thinks Peter would make a useful asset to their crew. Peter gets his sisters, Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail, cousin Benjamin, and other animal friends to help Barnabas and his crew steal from the farmer's market. Unfortunately, all the animals get caught after Barnabas and his crew make off with their rewards, leaving Peter to feel guilty for getting his friends and family in trouble. Peter gets help from Thomas and Bee after she realizes that Nigel will ruin what made her stories so lovable in rescuing the animals, and Peter and his family turn the tables on Barnabas and steal back the stolen food and get them captured by people from the Pet Pound. Peter and the rabbits rejoin Thomas and Bee as they head home, with Peter being more willing to listen to his loved ones.